Welcome, everyone. Excited to be with you tonight for Wellness Wednesday. We have a very special guest. And for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, welcome. We host these weekly, and the purpose of our Wellness Wednesdays is to educate you on the power of activation. So you're probably here because somebody invited you to learn more about GLP-1 and the incredible benefits that that's going to allow in your body. But we're going to give you just kind of an overview as to how that specifically affects hormones, cortisol, DHEA. I always want to say that differently. And so kind of just cover that topic, but we want you guys to know that we are hosting these weekly, and we know that we have something special on our hands with activation. Many of you are probably used to supplementing all the deficiencies your body needs, but this is all about biohacking and empowering your body to do the work. So with that being said, we have a very special guest, Dr. Bret. He's become a dear friend of mine, somebody that I love and respect dearly, his family. He is a man of faith. He is a chiropractor that's been practicing for over 20 years. But you guys, Dr. Brett's not just any chiropractor. He's very well respected in the chiropractic world. He's been a product formulator as well as an educator. So he actually is the one that goes in and teaches chiropractors how to do their thing. So Bret, we just are so lucky and thankful to have you. Just as one, not only as a leader in our company, but just as somebody that cares about health and wants to empower people to live their best lives. So with that being said, will you just give us a little intro as to how you came into chiropractic and, what you're most passionate about?
Sure, Jenny, appreciate you a ton. As you know, just grateful for you and your family and to be a part of this process with you. And I spent my whole lifetime in the chiropractic space. My dad actually is a chiropractor. He was going to be a dentist. He got injured. His cousin carried him to chiropractor's office. Chiropractor got him back walking and told him he needs to go to chiropractic school and do for him, do for the world what was done for him. And I grew up in that space. So he did. He changed career paths and went into chiropractic, and that's my whole life. So he graduated in 1971. I was born in 74. So really, all I've known is perspective of health from your body heals itself from the inside out. A healthy cell is a healthy human, and it's all about communication and activation. And I didn't really know, and we didn't use the term activation at the time. So my mission and passion really grew up in this space where I just thought everybody thought like my dad did, which you don't eat ice cream, you don't eat sugar. If you're sick, you'll go get adjusted or get a colonic. Like I just like that was normal. So my perspective on health is unique in that frame is that we always ask the question as why. Why is the body not getting better? Why is the body not responding the way it's supposed to do? Remove the obstacles where you can support the body with what it needs, and it'll do the magic. And that really fit in well with why I ended up here in Life Vantage in chiropractic. It was really based on failures. I was working with a patient that I just had kind of got to a place. I'd worked with him over a year, and he just wasn't making the progress. We were kind of running out of ideas and options. And I'm the physician that people come to when they've gone everywhere else, because they were referred to me by another physician that lived in multiple states away. And my introduction to activation or life vantage, the way they do activation, was this little guy going from being mostly, speaking only a few words, and very difficult to deal with, socially, academically, to him being activated where he's now in normal school, rocking it, and just progressing. So we're here to talk about this whole idea of GLP and what's going on in the world when it comes to, the target people are talking about is weight loss and how this whole hormone GLP-1 influences that. But I want to give you a little background on why we need to look at more than just this GLP-1 thing, because you're going to have people that start our products, the mind body GLP system, and they're going to have phenomenal results. And really in ways that are unexplainable, because if the hormones are off, then the cellular communication doesn't happen. So I want to kind of start with just a brief overview of hormone, just so you guys have a perspective of what that looks like. And then I want you to talk about maybe, why this thing works and how other things in your life can influence this so you can maximize your benefits. One thing I can promise you, if you're not activating your body with specific tools, products, procedures, activities, you're not going to get the benefit your body potential has if you're not activating it. It just doesn't work. My wife's always said that abs are made in the kitchen. I hate that, right? I wish I could just work out, eat whatever I want, but that's not how it works. You have to work out if you're going to have muscle mass, and you have to eat differently if you're going to change the physiology and the functionality of your body. But if you can utilize tools and products specifically that have been designed, tested, and formulated to activate key cellular communication, it's almost like when your husband and wife are on the same page. Like it clicks. And that's what we need in our body is for things to click and to communicate. And that's what this is all about. But I want to, and Jenny, you can stop me anytime. I know you will. There's something that pops in your head. But I
Yeah.
want to I'm going to share a couple of things, just so you guys have perspective of how big a deal this is and the influence you have over your body and the things that you're probably doing that are damaging the communication in your cells to get what you want. Just like if you had somebody damage the communication between somebody you loved, where you weren't on the same page because you couldn't hear them, you can damage your hormones where your hormones are not working. And we want to open that channel up so the body can communicate.
I love it. Well, let's pull that up and let's talk about what hormones are. But I love that our products are so set apart. I know people are probably thinking, well, how is this different? I've seen these combinations of herbs, I've seen this before. Really so set apart from what anybody else is doing. But it's kind of like turning that light switch on in the body, right? When the body is empowered to do the work, the body is the miracle. And that's what our products are designed to do. So, as Dr. Bret talks about hormones and the role that they play in regards to GLP-1, let's dive in, Dr. Bret, because I think you're going to cover a lot of people's questions today.
Some really cool things. And just be grateful that you don't know all this and that you don't have to know all this for it to work. So this is a schematic of just some of the hormones that have to work right for you to function. And so what I want you to understand from this slide here is two things. One is that your hormones are communication systems within your body that carry out a function and receive communication back to know when to stop. And this is just an example of the pituitary gland and its role in all the hormones that it produces and then communicates with and gets communication back with in order to have a normal, healthy environment or family. And as you'll see, this is all over the body, right? And this is just the pituitary hormones. And people always say, "Well, I think of a hormone imbalance." You probably do, right? And think of balance in the sense of communication. That's what balance is. If you can communicate and coordinate things, then you're balanced. You're talking and getting what you should out of the scenario. So I want to show you that just so it's a big deal. And I want to show you this slide to make it super simple. Okay. Your body, and most people said, I think my cortisol is high. And you kind of know that if you're carrying weight around the middle, you know you have insulin resistance, and you also probably know you have a cortisol imbalance. Now, cortisol is the stress hormone of the body. And here's what I want you to get from this slide here. All of your hormones start from cholesterol. Like, and you may have been told the cholesterol is bad. Well, if you're not eating good fats, you cannot make hormones. So it's super critical that you understand this. So eating real foods that have real fats are critical for your ability to make hormones. You got to have it, right? So just know that. And real fats are one from real food. Like it's not from margarine. Okay, it's not some chemically synthesized fat. It's not the same. But I want you to know that number one, good fats. So the things that you eat are critical because you cannot make something from something you do not have. The body will make something from something else before it'll make something from something fake, but it uses what it has. But here's what I want you to get. The second thing about this slide is it all comes from cholesterol. It goes to a place called pregnenolone. That's the second hormone that has to happen. And then it goes one of two ways. And this isn't all the hormones, but this is specifically the stress hormones. If you want to age fast, and look old and gain weight than have a lot of stress. Okay. And stress is both physical stress and mental stress and environmental stress. So you can be too hot or too cold to be stressful. You can have a poor relationship and have high stress. You can have a poor diet and cause stress. So the body's stress is your body's ability to adapt. So when you go into a stress cycle, your body takes your hormones and takes it down a road of what's called cortisol. Which what that means is to control inflammation, and it's going to break down tissue, and you're going to hold weight. That's just what happens. So I call cortisol the stress hormone is the fight, the flight, or the freeze hormone. So if you want to be fighting things all the time and fleeing from things all the time or being afraid of things all the time, you want to have a lot of cortisol. But what happens is it will shunt. If you're in a stress cycle, you'll pull away from what's called DHEA. That's the hormone if you want to look young, be beautiful, and have sex drive. You have to have this hormone because it goes to testosterone and estrogen. You're seeing all, I know I'm seeing all the time in laboratory tests of young people, teenagers with low testosterone. You'll hear it all the time, low T, low T, low T. Well, what if the low T is coming because they're having a crappy diet, not eating good cholesterol? They're gonna have low T. So you can give them testosterone. And here's the bad part. If you give somebody testosterone therapy and they're in a stress cycle, this will shunt backwards to cortisol. So you take more testosterone, you go back to cortisol in your high stress state. Yeah, it's super important to know you cannot outrun a bad diet and you cannot outrun being in a stress cycle all the time. So find a community of people that can be part of that process. One thing I love about what we do is to create a space where people can come learn and feel like they have a community to be a part of, to really understand what truth is when it comes to how your body functions. This is super critical that we address because these hormones, if you want to be in a state where, hey, I want to lose weight, I want to have more energy, I want to have more sex drive, I want to feel and look younger, I want to, decrease the aging process. You want to move away from this pattern into this pattern. You want, if you have to deal with stress, great, deal with it and get out of it. That's what should happen. The cortisol is not supposed to be there high all the time, and that messes with hormones. So if you have hormone imbalance, some of it is just this. So if you have low testosterone, odds are it's because you're in a stress cycle. And it doesn't matter if it's a real perceived like tiger chasing me or I think the tiger's chasing me. If you're in a stress cycle, it's gonna roll that way. Because you and I have all been on a movie or watched a movie and it's a scary movie and you feel like you're in the movie. So if you feel like your life is one big horror movie or one big stress movie, one big thriller, then you're constantly running this pathway. You need to get back into this pathway. Okay. Really, really, really important to understand. Just so this, I don't want to go through this, but just know it's a lot more than just this. I'm just simplifying it. Okay. But the cool thing, you don't have to know all of this or all of this to take advantage of understanding the goal is put my body in a position and my nervous system in a position to where it moves towards rest, relaxation, and procreation, and not into a fight, a flight, or a freeze state. And you are where you are based on what you've been taught in the past. So if you're not where you want to be, we need to shift that. I want to kind of just set the stage there because I want to kind of spin into what we're seeing in the world when it comes to what this GLP-1 hormone is. So if you're not familiar with GLP-1, there's another hormone, what I didn't talk about here, that's made in your gut. So think about it. So it's made in your gut. So how many of you you have bad gut function, right? Well, because digestive system works right, too much constipation, too much diarrhea, don't feel like I break down my food all the time. I've been on antibiotics, consistently and constantly, and I always feel like my upset stomach. Well, guess what? Your body, if it's like that, is not making this hormone anyway. If you're craving foods you know that are bad for you and you want them, this hormone's not working right. So this hormone is critical for our ability to feel satisfied with food and also satisfied with ourselves. So think about the last time you walked in a grocery store and you saw a little kid throwing a fit. And what was he wanting? I highly doubt it was broccoli or cauliflower, but I bet you money it was something that was prepackaged. So the food industry knows that if they can have you eat, if you eat more of what they purchase, they make more money. So if you're craving things so bad, you're willing to get up at night and go get it, or you feel like you just got to have it right now, and you know that it's not real, just know there's something in that that's addictive that's making you want to have it, that's going to mess with this particular hormone, the GLP-1. So if you feel that way, understand that you're not alone and it's not your fault, but now you are accountable. Now you know. But we want to give you some ways to basically have an opportunity to change that drastically. And that's this hormone, the GLP-1. So LifeVantage and the way that this company formulates is vastly different than anything I've ever been a part of before. But because before they bring something to market, they know that it works. And what I mean by that is they're testing the end result. So the mind body system. The hormone the body we're trying to get the body to make is what's called glucogen-like peptide 1. This is a hormone that's responsible for it affects every cell in the body and how it communicates and burns and utilizes fuel, but also feeling satisfied. So you'll see this hormone also responsible for things associated with addictions. Okay, because what do you crave when you're stressed? Right? Something that's addictive, and it can be a food, it can be a drink, it can be an over-the-counter medication, it can be an illegal, drug, but it also can be addictive behavior because this hormone allows, when it's produced right, it makes you feel satisfied and happy. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
What we've done with LifeVantage is they created a mind body system. It's called mind body because it activates the body's hormone GLP-1 in the mind and in the gut, the body, so it changes that response. And there's way more to it than weight loss. All right, so I want to kind of hit some points really quick here because we know people want to lose weight, but that's really not tied to the number on the scale. They want to feel good in their body. They want to look at the mirror and like what they see. They want to have the energy and that they to be with those that they love. They also want to have the stamina to do the things that they want. So if you're just starting your journey or part of your journey and your goal is weight loss, I want you to broaden that drastically. I want you to challenge yourself to say, what do I really want? How do I want to feel physically? What are things that I'm not able to do now that I want to be able to do? And part of it can be, what clothes do I want to fit in? Great. Let's pretend you didn't have a skill. Let's just pretend that this stupid number that we give so much credit to didn't exist. This number on this freaking flat thing that pisses you off when you step on it. Okay. Let's pretend that wasn't even a possibility. Here's now what you get to measure. I want you to measure the amount of body fat you have and how much muscle mass you have. You can do that. There are different ways of doing that. I want you to assess how good you feel mentally. How good do you sleep? How do you feel when you wake up? How do you handle stress? When things happen that are out of the normal, how well do you adapt to that? When you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you feel about yourself? How do you talk to yourself mentally? What's your stamina like when you really have to push? How well do you rebound from an activity? Right? I want you to, and then what medications do you want? And not which one, but how many. So just so you know, if you say you're healthy and you're not on medication, I wouldn't put those in the same category. Now there are certain medications that are because someone just they're type 1 diabetic and they don't make insulin, they absolutely have to be on the medication. But most medications are given to manage a process. All right, so don't take it that I'm telling you you're bad if you're on medication. Just understand if you're on medications, how many, for how long, and do you really want to be on them? So that just gives you an assessment of like, because healthy to me is having great energy, get great mental capacity, sleeping amazing, waking up feeling rested, purposeful activities, what I'm going to do, and no help from the outside when it comes to medications. That would be ideal. Okay. Healthy is not the absence of symptoms. It's very different. So gauge yourself based on that. So when you start utilizing this system, there's some foundational things I want you to do. When we use the mind body system, it's designed to address the mind and the body part of making this GLP-1 hormone. The other products that LifeVantage creates, they work together to impact people's inflammatory state, their repair state, their energy production states, their gut function, their cellular repair. But it's not just giving the ingredients. It's turning on the light switches inside the cellular structures to do what it's designed to do. You can have all the right material, but by the way, you need the right material. So don't think that you can just take this and be like awesome. That's not right. Like understand that your body needs certain things. It needs to have the right real foods and it needs the right real support for it to even want to get better. But you also have to turn the light switches on. If you're going to remodel a house, you can only fix based upon having people there to do the work and the right materials. And you will build the house you have based upon the materials you give it. So you remember the three little pig story? If you're giving your body nothing but straw to build a house with, guess what? You're going to build a house out of straw. So when the winds come and the big bad wolf shows up, you're going to not withstand the stressors that are that are there. But if you give it the right materials and you turn the gene switches on and you give it long enough, your body can make these changes. That's why I love this community that's been created by Wellness Wednesdays, because if you plug in long enough, you start thinking differently. If you plug in long enough, you realize a lot of things you've been taught and told are not empowering to you when it comes to what true health is. So it's critical that you become part of this community, in my opinion, to surround yourself with individuals that think for themselves and ask the questions like, okay, what does my body really need? What type of community should I be a part of? What should my mental space look like? What type of book should I read? Maybe you weren't taught the things growing up that actually give you ways to manage stress differently. What control do I have over it? You have a lot more control than you realize, but a lot of the control that's happening, you're giving it away to somebody else by what you're watching, by what's going through your eyes, what's going through your ears, and what's going in your mouth. All right. So if it has a hole and it's going inside of you, it's a place to put information in that will give you health or move you towards disease. And in my mind, it would basically not having control of your physical body or mental space. So, and just know if you're not where you want to be and you feel like it's too far gone, it's not. You start where you are. Because I watched people that was, on multiple medications for years in a health state that's just drastically bad to where they're now living life in the ways they never did, things that I never thought would change just based upon what I knew about genetics and medicine are now doing things that we never thought was possible because we now know we can activate these cellular processes. We have specific ways to activate the gene responses. And if you give it long enough and you remove the obstacles, the body had the chance to form. But the hormone component is huge. You got to have the good fats. Understand we want to find ways to manage those stress responses and stay on these wellness Wednesdays long enough. And you're going to learn some of that too, because we bring people on that. And then you find a community to be a part of, understand how to utilize the products and do what's right for you. But for me, I stack them. I use the mind body GLP-1 system, and I'm not a big guy, right? I'm not heavy, but I use it because there's a lot of other benefits to the mind body system and the gut hormone system that ties into brain and to heart and to hormones that are not tied to how much heavy you are. It's all the other things that I mentioned. And I stacked it with my Protandim Nerf 2, with my Protandim Nerf 1, with my collagen, with my Brain Drink Axial, because I want all the benefits, not because of what I feel, it's because of what I don't want to feel. And because of how I want to perform, and based on how I know I don't want to perform. And so just know like these systems work that way. And all you have to do in the benefits is take the system, plug into the community, stick around long enough to give it the chance. Because most of us, let's just say I'm 50, and let's just say you haven't felt great in 20 years. You felt okay, but not great. You've been in bad communication with your best friend, you, for 20 years. So when you start doing good things, your body's be like, you know what? That dude had lied to me before. He's going to lie to me again. He'd be nice for a week and then be mean for a month. Consistency with the right things, activation over time will change the things that have to be changed first. Then we'll change the things that you want later.
Yeah.
Because it's got to fix what it has to fix before it fixes what you want it to fix.
I love that. I love that, Dr. Bret. And I love that you said, when your cells communicate, when your structure is strong, I tell people all the time, if you look at our different stacks, that's why we have the Protandim NRF2 as the foundation of all of our stacks. And sometimes that product, it's not like the sexiest product is what I like to say. GLP-1, our weight loss activation system has kind of been the gap that fills what people don't even know they have their hands on with Protandim NRF2. But when the house is strong, your foundation is strong, your cells are communicating. Now you have the responsibility, and I love that, to do the rest of the work, because even though your cells now can communicate and it's doing the heavy lifting in your body, you have a choice every single day what you decide to do to promote your health. That leads us into our GLP-1. We're really excited. We just launched a weight loss. I don't want to even call it a weight loss challenge. I want to call it a
I call it a
transformation
transformation. Like what we're doing,
transformation
we're
challenge.
transforming your ability to have the life you want.
Yeah. And not only that, with weight, it's so up and down for people, but it's because their foundation isn't strong. And when you can fix your cells, you can keep the weight off. So we're going to give you kind of just a little teaser on that. It's going to be running for 12 weeks. And if you're listening to this, if you're, first time on this wellness webinar, get with the person that invited you. They can plug you in. I think we've got over $20,000 worth of cash prizes and prizes to give it away on a weekly basis.
Close to 30 now.
Oh, close to 30,000. Wow. So I'm inspired by this because I started keeping track of my, habits today. I added one part of the activate, it's called Activate and Thrive. I added serve to mine because every day I want to serve somebody at a high level. And I have a whole list of things that I'm going to do every day. What I've put in my mind, personal growth and development, the supplements I'm taking, what I'm putting in my body, making sure I'm going out and moving every day. So I have a whole list and I am committed to finishing this 12-week challenge. So we want you to invite you guys to do this with us. Like Dr. Bret said, our community is where it all starts. My mom was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer 5 years ago, and this community saved her life. And so I'm so thankful for it every day. I've been doing this now for 13 years, and we just are excited to be able to share a little bit of our knowledge with you today. And Dr. Bret, you just killed it. So thank you for being a part of this. And I don't know if you want to leave us with any last ideas or thoughts as we wrap up the wellness webinar today, but I've learned so much.
Just commit to yourself, right? And just know this is much bigger than you. What if? What if you decide to do it for you? Anybody that's in your sphere of influence, now you've removed their excuses. I've watched parents do stuff that for their families and kids that they wouldn't do for anybody else. Do it for them because they watch you more than they hear you. And I'm talking to myself when I say this. And be a part of this community. You will become like the people you surround yourself with. It's one thing I really love about this community and these people. That's why, as a chiropractor in the medical space, like I work hand in hand with people that are not, because we need real people that can make real changes, and this community does it. We can't do it alone. So I just say, just commit for your family to do it and plug in the community because you're always more successful to give than by yourself.
I love it. Well, we appreciate you so much, and it's always a pleasure hosting you, and we're just thankful. And I know you're on your lunch break right now, so you probably got to get back to work. But you guys, thank you. Like we said, get with the person that invited you. We'd love for you to join our Activate and Thrive challenge here in 2025. We want to be your biggest cheerleaders and support you as you make those changes. And I always like to say, your health is an investment, not an expense. It's time we start thinking differently about what we put in our bodies, who we surround ourselves with. And, that's where the change happens. So we want to invite you to do that with us. And thank you, Dr. Bret. We'll chat soon. So take care, everyone.